The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, the highly anticipated follow-up that broke numerous Game of the Year records when it was released 3 years ago, is being remastered for the PS5. Some may find this to be an unpopular choice, but it does make sense when you take into account how the original game was released, missing the PS5 release by literally less than 6 months. So there wasn't a PlayStation 5 version of the game when it was launched, and there still isn't until this remaster. So for those who already own Part 2 on PS4, there's also an upgrade track available for just $10, just like there have been for a number of other games that have come out on previous generation and current generation consoles. So in this video, we'll be going over everything you need to know about The Last of Us Part 2 Remaster for the PlayStation 5. So if you already own The Last of Us Part 2 and all you want to do is play through a more visually appealing version of the game and also take advantage of all the new features that Naughty Dog is throwing in, you can purchase the remaster for $10 as an upgrade when it releases on January 19th of 2024. As a remaster rather than a complete remake, Part 2 Standard Edition will retail for $50 or £45 and be accessible both digitally and physically for PlayStation 5. Once more, something that some players have expressed a distaste for. That is, however, a pretty good deal to be fair if you haven't already purchased the sequel already. Not only is it a PS5 title, but the remaster has a ton of extra content from Naughty Dog. In addition to improved graphics and quicker loading times that we get with all next-gen games, the remaster will include 3 previously unfinished levels from early development, a new roguelike mode called No Return, and of course full DualSense controller support. And there is an edition called the WLF edition of the remaster of The Last of Us Part 2, which might entice you even if you don't already own it. This edition includes 47 Society of Champions trading cards, which are the same cards you find throughout the game. A Washington Liberation front patch, and 4 animal pins that are all based on items from the game, in addition to a physical copy of the game, of course, that comes in a steelbook case with all of the in-game extras already mentioned. None of the items are digital in-game items, they are all tangible, so all physical stuff. Pretty cool. That is of course the main collector's edition, coming in at a much higher price, but of course if you're a collector and you want to get that cool looking steelbook and all of the other collectibles for Last of Us Part 2 Remaster, then of course that's what you're going to want to go with. Now, in terms of pre-ordering the game, you can literally already do so. From December 5th, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered will be available for pre-order, so obviously that date's already passed. You can pre-order this game from a local retail store if they've got it in stock, of course, if you want the physical copy, or if you want to get it digitally, then literally just pre-order it on the PlayStation Store on your PlayStation 5. Of course, if you've got a digital PS5, then that's the only option, but if you've got the PS5 with a disc drive or the PS5 Slim with a disc drive, then of course you can get the physical edition, which you might find to be slightly cheaper, but generally I think with this remaster, because it's a low price anyway, the prices are literally identical no matter where you look. And yeah, it is a bit cheaper than usual because it isn't a complete remake, it's just a remaster, but you are getting some extra content. So to be honest, I think the price is actually quite good. They probably could have put it at a higher price, people wouldn't have been happy about it, but well, they would have got away with it, to be completely honest with you. So it's good that it is at a lower price. It should be, and it is nice that we're getting that lower price. It just makes it seem a bit better, in my opinion, a bit more worthwhile. So yeah, this will go live on January 19th, 2024, and this marks the beginning of what should be another exciting year for video games. Filming for the Season 2 of The Last of Us HBO's adaptation starts a month later, and by the time that filming starts, you might already know what happens next if you're waiting for the remastered version of Part 2. So yeah, it's all going down with The Last of Us at the moment, of course. So we had obviously The Last of Us Part 1 for PlayStation 5 last year, I believe, about this time last year. And now we're getting The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. And then you never know after that, it could of course be time for that big PC release of The Last of Us Part 2. And hopefully it'll be a bit better than The Last of Us Part 1 PC release when that launched, since, well, that's not going to be hard to beat, let's be honest. The launch for that was pretty horrible, but now it's in a somewhat pretty, well, I assume pretty playable state. I never actually really played it on PC, but yeah, The Last of Us Part 2, I would assume maybe in 2025 or the end of 2024, we will have the game on PC, if not some news about that arriving on PC at some point, I assume. But maybe they won't release it on PC. We don't know until it's confirmed, but I think that's very unlikely that it won't release on PC at all. We can definitely expect something for PC at some point. Of course, it will be the remaster version. We won't get the old Last of Us Part 2 version. It will be the remaster. So that will be good to see. But yeah, it's just a case of waiting for that, really. But it's all going down. So yeah, obviously we had the Last of Us Part 1 last year. Last of Us Part 2 remastered at the beginning of 2024. Then with filming will start for the Last of Us Part 2 series adaptation. And then that will actually release in 2025. And then maybe at some point during that time, we'll get the PC release of Part 2. So, in terms of the features arriving with this new remaster, there are 6 new features. So, the first one is that there will be a feature called No Return, a roguelike survival mode. It forces both new and returning characters to battle legions of the infected in short-lived missions. Along with customizable specs, the mode also includes roguelike elements like randomized encounters and rewards. In Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, there is also a leaderboard feature called Speedrun Mode. Now, you can use this feature to keep track and share your speedrun records in an attempt to place among the top players and win prizes. Basically just a sort of speedrunning leaderboard. Pretty cool. Obviously for those that are into speedrunning games, then you're going to have a really good way and a nice supported way of doing that with the Last of Us Part 2 Remaster. And along with that, you can now freely use instruments like guitars thanks to a new gameplay feature. This mode will feature different characters and a variety of settings that are influenced by the main plot. You'll also be able to create intricate tracks by modulating your performance with FX pedals. Pretty cool stuff if you're into sort of the guitar playing with The Last of Us Part 2. You're going to be able to get really in depth with that with this remaster. So yeah, for those of you into that, that is really perfect. And then The Last of Us Part 2 Remaster has a number of new character outfits and weapon camouflages. So yeah, there will be some new cosmetics available with this remaster, which is never a bad thing to be fair. And this will also include new director commentary with actors Troy Baker, Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey, in addition to Neil Druckmann and story lead Haley Gross. So yeah, pretty cool stuff there as well. Some new commentary, always good. And there will also, of course, be enhanced shadow quality, animation sampling rate, better texture resolution, increased level of detail distances, and also an unlocked frame rate option for TVs that support VRR, in addition to all, of course, the new gameplay features already mentioned. So, of course, yeah, we're getting all the standard next-gen improvements with this, along with some extra bonuses, which is really, really cool. I think for the price, this is pretty fair. And if you already own the game on PS4 and you have a PS5, then you've got a nice, easy, simple $10 upgrade pass to be able to get this new version, which is simple, it works, you can get the new game at the end of the day. And of course, we're getting a nice little physical release for PS5 as well, which is always good, and a nice collectible release as well, for those of you that want that too. So look, for me, I think this is positive. Some people aren't a fan of The Last of Us Part 2 in terms of the story, but at the end of the day, in terms of what you're getting, besides the story, this is pretty good in terms of a remaster. I think this is how a remaster should be done. This is done well, providing it launches well, of course, on January 19th of 2024. But yeah, that does just about wrap up things here. That is absolutely everything you need to know about this Last of Us Part 2 remaster, launching on January 19th. On screen now, you are seeing a link to a different video. Hit the link on the screen if you are interested in watching that. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.